this conversation. Elections can be discredited before, during, and after voting, even without a single ballot touch. Since the introduction of levers in Nigerian electoral system, it's difficult for anybody to stop and ballot papers now. It's also difficult to go to a venue, pick the ballot box, and go on it. But it is easier to use information to discredit the election and to cause sometimes unexpected outcomes. Let's go to the next slide. So, as I was saying, I already talked about this. So we are dealing with misinformation, which is false information shared unknowingly. People can share false information unknowingly. It happens a lot, even with established media. And misinformation, when you share deliberate falsehood, is with intention to mislead. Recently, we had to do a journal, about the timetable for the 2027 election. We have to do the almost after another one, because some media platforms kept reporting the fake news. Only Inec is empowered by law to release the timetable for any election. But we found that some media organizations kept reporting that the timetable has been released. So it could be, we now find people operating in between misinformation and disinformation. Sometimes you don't know the agenda, you don't know whether that timetable is deliberately pushed out, just to create, some tension in politics. So by dealing with misinformation, perhaps dealing with bad information, true information shared maliciously or out of context, then we're also dealing with what we call filming, foreign information manipulation and interference. It is generally in this part of the world, in Nigeria. Let me start an example. You remember what happened I can't remember the election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. You remember that 2020, 2016, yes. Please, please give me your time. I'm going to be done very soon. You remember that the outcome of the election was largely derailed because of the level of information interference, allegedly from Russia. So what am I saying? We may think that as a nation that we are insulated from foreign manipulated information and interference. We are not. As we speak today, already we have Nigeria is dealing with filming that is linked to Kremlin, that's the Russians, and of course domestic political militants and Islamic militants in Nigeria. For those of us, of course, I'm happy that this is a all for journalists. You remember that there was a time we were reporting Boko Haram very much in this country, and that was also the fact that they were being well reported, particularly in by national newspapers, gave them the investors the opportunity to attack. So what I'm saying is that by dealing with manipulated interference by foreign government and by local government actors, and these people can use this to determine the outcome of an election or derail an election or delegitimize an election. So people who believe that we're dealing with misinformation and disinformation, and most of the newsrooms are still having problems with it. It is very uncertain whether most people can even identify if they have become agents of a foreign nation who has an agenda in Nigeria. So we need to start paying attention to things like this, particularly now when global powers now legislate international politics via social media. You have a very powerful president who can determine the direction of global order via Twitter. You understand what I'm saying? So on the morning of an election of another national entity, if that person, I don't want to mention the name, decides to tweet something about that election, it will change the direction of the election. That is, you are so what I'm trying to do, you have very powerful, global hegemon who can change the direction of global politics by one single tweet. So if the person does not like the face of someone who is contesting in another jurisdiction. One single tweet can either lead to the eruption of violence or change the direction of the election or throw the country into some kind of confusion. So what we're saying is the media has a role to play, and we cannot play our role by trying to use Panadol to address back pain. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It means I will also need to be up to date. We have to upskill. We have to develop the ability to identify misinformation, disinformation, and to know when a foreign actor is pushing an agenda unknowingly through you. So let's go to the next slide. So please go back to the last slide. Yeah, so in elections, intent matters less than impact. What I'm trying to say there is that the intention of the person who is pushing the agenda or who is pushing the false narrative, matters than the impact. For instance, in this era of deepfakes, what do you think will happen if on the morning of an election that is inconclusive, or if on the day after an inconclusive election, some people doctor a deepfake video of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission announcing the result of an election that has not been concluded. In an era where many people, more than 60% of our population, not even more than 80% of our population cannot even identify deepfakes. So I hope you are now beginning to understand the import of what we are talking about. That our election can only be safeguarded by a media that is also very knowledgeable. What do I mean? I told you about the fake timetable that has been in circulation recently. The last one that we had to do in Georgia was carried by a relatively mid-range, respectable platform. Relatively mid-tier, not up there, not down there, but a platform that has the capacity to become very big, in a few years, if they continue to grow. So the question is that, who are the editors? What are they doing? What quality control measures do you have in place? A fake story was in circulation. We carried a rejoinder. A week after that rejoinder, another news media used it. And when we called it out, the media platform didn't even try to retrieve the story and carry a corrigendum apologizing to your readers that we inadvertently carry something that turned out to be wrong. We are sorry. They just kept quiet. It looks good when you keep quiet, particularly if you are running an online platform. It looks good, you think that people don't know. But when it comes to your trust quotient, you are losing. Because people who know, people who matter, people who understand our industry, particularly outside of the country, you will lose some people who trust you that day. You understand? So what am I saying? This is not in my paper. I just want to say that particularly people running, online platforms and online editors of established platforms want to get it wrong. Don't just retrieve the story quietly. Do something, apologize, update, let your readers know. Because if you don't do that, you are telling them that you are trying to tell your readers that they are not smart people. And it is not true. Most of our readers, or a number of our readers are very smart, sometimes smarter than the editors. So please don't let it slide. Do something about it. So let us put at the back of our mind that when the era of truth, the era of misinformation, if our elections must be credible, the media must play an important role. Let's go to the next slide so that we begin to. So why does the media matters now more than ever? Because the public trusts the media more than institutions during crisis. I used to work for a national newspaper, very respected, and I know that a lot of people in Nigeria will say if it is not on this platform, I don't want to do advert for any platform. If it is not on this platform, then it's not true. That's what maybe the elderly, once they don't see anything on those established platforms, they don't take them hook, line, and sinker. You understand? Which means that as bad as it is, in a nation where we have close to 2 million media platforms. By the way, I received a letter from someone last week. 3 letters from one source asking to be accredited to our Inec. 3 letters, the headline, sorry, I'm saying the letterhead were designed by the same graphic person. So they just sometimes they don't understand that we have sense of time in YouTube. The same person designed three letter heads. They register 3 different names and they ask us to accredit them. You know. So what we're talking about misinformation and all that. And the person who is behind it from my analysis is not even a journalist. The person happens to be working with the Ministry of Information either in Abuja or in our state. So when people like that run platforms, they don't have the structures. They are the one who do copy and paste journalism. They are the one who will pick on authorized title and splash it on the cover of their platforms and misinform the public. And when you call them out, they will simply just remove it and throw it away without doing anything. You know what we call them? We call them portfolio publishers. So people trust, national media platforms than portfolio platforms. Please, I have no prejudice against small platforms. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that if you want to be respected, then you must build your trust quotient. If you want to do copy and paste, at least change the headline. Some people will carry a story from what's it called? Madam? Where are you from? Igora. So people will carry a story from Igora Times. Like that. And put it on where you from? And they put it in FCT Herald without removing the Igora Times in the third paragraph of the story. So you will read the story. Hold on. So you will go to FCT Herald. You are reading a story about Mr. Ojumu, who just launched the book, and on the top paragraph you will see that the reporter who did the story, when the reporter of Igora Times spoke together, there are many things like that in the public. Nobody will trust you like that. You won't build your trust quotient. Like the national platforms. There are people that if they don't step to the national platforms, they don't believe it. So that is why we all matter. Then media friendly shapes public perception of legitimacy. The media is the fourth estate of the realm. We are the only profession that is established, mentioned in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have an important role to play in the survival of our democracy. Why? Because we have the power to shape perception of legitimacy. What the media amplifies becomes truth to millions. Yes, particularly in this era of social media. Whatever, that in the past, when social media started, social media used to depend on legacy media for information. Now, legacy media depend on social media for information. Someone called me from BBC yesterday, and she was like, she saw something on social media, and she's looking to gather momentum, and she wanted me to comment. So I said, so why should you go to social media to pick things like that and be asking for validation from hiding? The next thing was like, are you going to tell us? Are you going to tell BBC what BBC should report? And I said, okay, wait there. I don't know that I'm also a journalist. So what am I saying? With the social media, if the legacy media reports falsehood, social media will amplify it. So that is the era where we have now. We have an era where the legacy media feeds on social media, the social media also feeds on legacy media. So sometimes you see what you call Odongo. The legacy media will report also, the social media platform will carry the falsehood, it becomes viral falsehood, then there's a problem. And it becomes, a vacuum that cannot be stopped. So what am I saying? Our role is much more important than we think. Media, particularly journalists, are now what some local community call DBR. We are the DBR of the democratic dispensation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Determine what happens and what does not happen. So when you have that kind of power, then you must at all times be above board. You must be sure that whatever you are putting in the public domain is the truth. Otherwise, we will destroy this democracy even before we learn how to work. So please, the media is no longer just reporting elections. They are now part of the electoral system. I was editor for 10 years. I know that in any newsroom, there is no newsroom you go to that people are not divided into two during election. Even though we are not supposed to belong to any party, even though we don't belong to parties openly. But there's no newsroom that you go to that you will not see some people supporting some people, or at least having sympathy. That's the word. Maybe not supporting. They have sympathy for certain candidates. And if the editor has sympathy for certain candidates, I'm not talking about party, and the editor has sympathy for another candidate, you know that you must have very strong internal quality control method for you to maintain what you call neutrality in that kind of. Yes. For instance, if the politics editor is going this way and the editor is going this way, you know that there's no problem if you don't have something in place to ensure that what is shown out is as neutral as possible. You know, so the media has become not just an onlooker. We are now shaping, elections, and if you support us, that's the essence of all the news making. That's the essence of what I'm saying. If you support the current chairman of Inec and the commission and all the people representing the commission, who do better, who do best, because I know that Inec will do the right thing, to go for election, but also need the media to at least accept the good things we are doing and help us, achieve the result that we set out to achieve. So that is why the media is central, public trust and all the rest. Let me give an example. I attended the World Editors Forum in Taipei, Taiwan. So I met a vendor who sells technology to media organizations. So when they met me, he saw my bag. Oh, from Nigeria. I said yes. So he saw the name of the media organization I was working for. Then the next was that he checked us out. And he immediately checked us out online, not online, because there's an app where you could check the media platform, your reach, your audience, your follower, what you stand for, and your trust quotient. Immediately he checked that in less than 2 minutes. He said, yeah, very, very. I said, we're big now. So what I'm saying is that the public is watching. You have a role to play, and if you play the game right, it has an impact on you. So we have an important role. It's much more important than a lot of people in our politics. Let's go to the next slide, and we have to round up. So FCT election, you all know why FCT election is important. I cannot begin to emphasize that. Please let's go to the next slide. Yeah, common misinformation things. We know how we misinform. I just give you an example of the title. Yes, we know that a lot of Nigerians are looking forward to the title. Meanwhile, I went to Nasarawa, the other day, and I saw billboards, posters all over places. People already started campaigning, even when it is established in the electoral. I said, yes, no. You have to wait for the title before you start complaining. But there's no part of Nigeria that you go to where people are not already campaigning using billboards. If we're a nation where we have very strong cross-agency collaboration, the agency in charge of that, I don't want to mention the name of it, the agency controlling assignment, science and all these things. You could have taken it up if we have a lot of intelligence collaboration, because the law says that you cannot campaign before the title is released, and it's all about, and they are doing it in reckless abandon. So the media has enough to play, and they cannot carry what's it called. Number one, we cannot even. What can we do? Because I saw it all over the place in front of people who wants to be governors and all of that. So what am I saying? I'm simply speaking to my initial slide that the media has a lot of important roles to play. Sometimes a journalist called me and was asking me a question, one funny question about Inec. And I said, come, there are a lot of fine stories you can do without asking questions like this. The Electoral Act, the election, the planning towards election, even Inec as it is huge, is big. It's all the time that you have to call the director of them, when she's sleeping, to ask her to comment on, simple things. Not that I never things you could write. So what do I mean? There are a lot of uncollected PVCs across the state. Nobody has done anything about it. Nobody has written any major story about it. You understand what I'm saying? The population of Nigerians who live with disabilities is about 25 million people. That's about 4 states put together. If you enter that space, you will do multiple special reports. You know, that's where to do this job. People call you. So, you know, somebody, okay, the person, I wanted to start an example, but the person is here, and I don't want her to. You know, so what am I saying? You know the way we report now. Inec has changed results. Rivers is not working anywhere. Inec is favoring one party. I found out they said a particular party couldn't upload the names of their candidates in the state. So I called the rep, okay, what is happening? They said it was in front of the party. The water was open. It has a deadline. Anything that it is legally bad, there is a deadline. So if you miss the deadline, what do you pay? The story in that aspect is that Inec is supporting a particular party. That's why they block. Someone called and said, why did the government block us from uploading the name of our candidate? So what am I saying? Yes, our journalism should wish to mature. It should go beyond rhetoric like that. Please, if a party misses a deadline, please point it out to the party. Don't let them use us as if. And let me tell you, you know that I was please, journalists, please, I want to beg you. I hope nobody's recording you. Please, I want to beg you in the name of God, and don't record me. Please, don't let them use you. They will use you and dump you. Please, don't let anybody use you. Do your job as professional as possible. I was editor of the paper and I know what I'm saying. Don't let anybody use you whether during an election or not. Because once they use you, if you call their numbers, they will not answer. You will be shocked. So please, do your job well. These are, you know, also fake correlation results, old videos being recycled. These are the things that we see on our platforms. And more often than not, there are people behind strong or business. Let's go to the next slide. So, this is very important to us. Errors that we must avoid. The first, not accurate. Yes, let me tell you something. I'm a newspaper man, and I know that the newspaper industry, when I joined, has changed. People are no longer buying newspapers, you know, the way they used to buy. Thank God in Abuja, people are doing, they are trying Abuja. In fact, I'm very, very grateful to all of you on behalf of my colleagues who are still with me like this. Because you still buy papers in Abuja. You know, nobody buys paper in many places. They bring papers to my office and say, ha! Thank you very much, Abuja people. God bless you for me. Yes, and I'm doing this on behalf of our media colleagues. People don't buy papers anymore. So it means that any media platform that must survive must also build revenue stream on the online platforms. Then that now brings us to this notion of me being the first to break a story. So when you want to be the first one, the first platform to break a story without having the structures in place to ensure that whatever you put out there is true, you will make a lot of errors. But you know, because it's online, it's easy to quickly either correct, update, or simply remove. You know, there are a lot of platforms who will own up and say we made an error and we have corrected. But many people, particularly the ones that are not very well known, they make a lot of errors. They're using social media videos without verification. We are now also in the era of video. The consumption pattern has changed. Everybody here, I believe, almost everybody here will consume more videos than text on a daily basis on your Instagram pages and all those other platforms. And for those of you who are on TikTok, so it looks like we are becoming a video first generation. That's what we're becoming. I'm running off. For those of you that still want to set up platforms, maybe you should consider, building things around video, because we have become a video first generation. And because of that, people, the tendency to pick fake doctored videos and push it as genuine is very hard. So please, media, we need to avoid that. Then publishing breaking news from unofficial sources. Yes, people break stories on one place. There are some people who were, let me tell you something, for those of you who are familiar with the Southwest, a very popular gospel artist died in the Southwest, and when she was preparing, there was a lot of controversy So the estranged husband had to speak out. So he granted an interview to someone on YouTube. And the man was just speaking for like 2 hours. Then the interviewer was closing off. So I now called someone. I said, come. You see, because now people will say journalists have come in. I said, it is because the interviewer is not a journalist. You know, she was sleeping and the man was speaking. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, for the interview. That man spoke for more than 2 hours. And the interviewer was sleeping. So I said, because she's not a journalist. She was just sleeping. She thought that, okay, I have a platform, I have followers, just say your own side of the story. But on this job, interview has to be moderated. Because it is when you moderate the interview that you get the best out of the man. You know, but just speaking good. So what am I saying? Is that things have changed. When I video first, generation, people push a lot of it out there. And because most of these rooms now are structured to look for things on social media. Even the big ones, we make a mistake. They are structured to look for things on social media first. The big videos, that turn out to be fake, and the rest they will say is history. They will start trying to, so please, don't, if you are not sure of every video, please don't pick it. Don't go and pick the video of Madam Victoria Etamesi announcing results in one state in Jigawa something because it's not going to happen. Please. So please. Then, ambiguous headlines that inflame tension. That is very common. Let me tell you something. There is a very big newspaper in FCT. I don't want to mention the name. That is not very pro Inec of today. So we try to reach out. So what I'm saying is that whatever happens, if a platform is adversarial, to anyone, whatever happens, even small things will be blown out of proportion, out of proportion, blah blah blah. Yeah, let's go. That's around. So expectation, accuracy before speaking. That's important. For you to build trust, you must maintain accuracy before speaking. Please ensure that whatever you are pushing out is accurate. Verification before application. If you are not sure, don't publish. Because if you publish something you are not sure, you will get a lot of litigation letters. And one litigation can consume your media platform. So please, verification before application. Context before commentary. Before, when people write, when you write a news story is supposed to be a news story, but we news stories with a lot of opinions start into it because you don't like somebody. No, that is not journalism. That is poor journalism. So please, context before commentary. Put a context to whatever you are doing. Okay? You cannot come out and say there is voter apathy because Inec has not done well. No, you must be able to tell us that the voter apathy problem started in the fourth election cycle ago, and it's not like Inec problem. You must be able to put the context. When we come out and say people didn't come out for an election because of Inec, then that is not journalism. That is what's it called? Igboara journalism. Apologies to them for Igboara. Finally, restraint before speculation. Don't speculate. The people who threw out that the timetable, they will see this speculation because they think that they know Inec better than Inec. Don't speculate. If you are not sure, call Oga Ifoka, call Madam Victoria. Don't call me, okay? Unless you know that you have any business. If you don't have any business, call them. They will tell you. Don't speculate because once you lose your credibility, it is hard to regain. Oh yeah, let's go to the next slide. Fact checking is very important. Please set up fact checking measures in your newsroom. Fact check anything before you put it out there. Oh yeah, next slide. Headlines matter. We'll discuss that later in the next slide. Yes, broadcast media, if you are here, you also have a role to play. Please, live broadcast can escalate panic. On-air speculation spreads instantly. Anchors shape perception in real time. Please, I want to advise you, go and watch the interview our director of voter education and publicity had with Arise recently. It will explain what I'm trying to say. If you watch the interview, you will understand what it means to grant an interview to an adversarial media. So what am I? Because interview is supposed to be friendly. You can ask your question, get whatever you want from that person in a friendly manner. So please, broadcasters, pay attention and don't use your platform to push agenda. And if you must be an anchor, understand what you're talking about too. Go and read the Electoral Act. You see a lot of anchors who are almost half-baked and they pontificate on air. You know, they pontificate as if they're the chairman of Inec. When I say I just laugh, please, the first thing, even me, or even higher, I don't know which one to use that I'm standing here. I also read the Electoral Act, and I'm still reading, and I'll continue to read. Please familiarize yourself with the laws that govern election. So when you talk online, you will know what I'm saying. Don't pontificate. You know the greatest challenge in life is not to know that you don't know. You know when you don't know, and yet you don't know that you don't know. It's a big problem. You like that when they hold you on air, they will be pontificating over errors. So please, expectations. Let's separate verified fact from opinion. Avoid announcing unofficial results. You are not in the US where you can speculate. In this country, only INEC announces the result. Don't do it. Then correct misinformation immediately on air. Once you know that you are wrong on air, please correct yourself. Those of you who are on their personality, get an iPad, download the Electoral Act on it, then open the file, put basic data of the election there that you can easily refer to while you're having your program. And finally, please be data driven. You can never go wrong. Whatever you are doing, be based on data. If you are not sure, don't pontificate. Thank you very much.
Okay. You are the DBI of the democratic dispensation. Who wrote that down? I saw you all listen with rapt attention, with heads nodding like they had gamma. So I quickly concluded that a major principle to effective reporting is effective listening. You would agree with me that that was a very expository and riveting presentation. Please, a Nigerian clap for the and then he ended with one thing. I would like to re-echo these in the words of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. He said, ignorance admitted is an opportunity to learn, but ignorance denied is a closed door. He said it. Okay, so that takes us to the next presentation, and that will be taken by the HOD ICTBR, Mr. Festus, right? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. A round of applause for me, please. Mr. Festus, I say a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everybody. The PSA to the Honorable Chairman, the Administrative Secretary, Director of Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Festus Isaac, HOD ICT Voter Registry Department, FCT. My job is very simple: to run us through the technology innovation that the Commission in the year past in the future plans to be involved in. Electoral process all over the world has evolved and has adopted technology as a tool in order to bring credibility, efficiency, and transparency into the electoral process. This presentation will be focusing on papers and INEC result viewing portal. Before I go to the issue of the papers, since we are talking about technological innovation, I want to quickly take our mind back to 2002 when the Commission decided to computerize the continuous water registration process by introducing the OMRO forms. You remember very well that then we used to give you a form, you share it, and you process it, and that we were able to use for the 2003 election, that is the voter register. Ever since then, the computerization process by the Commission has evolved. Today, we are using the IBED in capturing prospective registrants who intend to register for an election. Then in FCT, just a few months ago, the continual voter registration was first done at the local government level. Thereafter, we moved to the area. Just, I think, let's remember the dates now. We did publication of the voter register. I'll run through the figure since we are dealing with media here. For 2023 general election, the Commission had 1,570,307 registered voters. During this 2025 CVR exercise that just we concluded 3 months ago, the total valid voter that we have is 102,307 registered voters. Then for those that transfer themselves into FCT, we have 8,476. And those that transfer themselves outside FCT, we have 775. And as it stands today, the election that the Commission will be conducting at the area council election in February 21st, the total number of registered voters there is 1,680,315 registered voters. With that, we'll be able to determine the electorate will be able to determine the fate of those contesting as councillors and also as chairman in the various area council local government offices. Then that takes me straight back to my major topic for today. The beavers and the Inec result very important. The beavers, as we know, is a biometric system that authenticates a voter either by the fingerprint or by facial recognition, either of the ways. And we all also know that in the time past, we used to use the smart card reader. We were able to do the voters' accreditation just by the fingerprints only. So the Commission over the years have introduced the bimodal voter accreditation system, which is actually two fingerprints or facial recognition. So it is another innovation that came on board in the recent time by the Commission. With the bimodal authentication, no person, no voter can vote more than once. No single voter can vote more than once. How do we mean? You also recall, because I want to be that we will send the beavers and probably use it to vote in the time past. The voter register of that particular unit or the voters are downloaded into the beavers. Since it's downloaded into the beavers, you come with your PVC. And the presiding officer, the assistant presiding officer one, which is the one that handles the beavers, takes your PVC either by entering the last 6 digits, your surname, scanning the QR code or the barcode into the beavers, and your details consult. When the details of the voter consult, so the APO1 goes further to verify that you are actually the genuine owner of that PVC. And once that is done, so you use either your fingerprints or your facial. It means that you must be the one, voting is not by proxy. So you must be the one that the photo, facial recognition will scan or your fingerprint, because they will not scan your fingerprint in essential. So whenever any time person will use the smart carrier, if it doesn't verify and authenticate, we're using incident form. But this time around, when the commission is assuring you that it is only one man, one vote, one PPC, one vote. And having said that about the waivers, I want to quickly say that some important things for us to mention here is the PVC. For now, we've concluded collection of PVC at the RA level, but it is actually ongoing at the various local government offices. So the commission, maybe in the next few days, will be fixing a date, which I may not be permitted to mention, even if I have online it, to terminate the PVC collection. So we should let the electorate know that their PVCs are still available at our various local government offices. They should go there and pick their PVC. Having talked about the PVC a little, I think with the permission of my administrative secretary and chief press secretary to the chairman, I also want to say that the commission will be carrying out mock accreditation this coming Saturday in all the area council in a selected place. So we have 289 selected units across all the area councils in every, I think every ward, to be able to select them. And for Alma, we have quite a number of them here. I think I could just mention it at 50, and with so many of the split units. What is the essence of this mock accreditation that we are looking at on Saturday? Let me start by the time. The mock accreditation process will start by 8:30, just the same time we resume election. And it will close by that 2:30, 8:30 to 2:30. So we will look at how we'll be able to make these selected PUs for mock accreditation known to you. So I'll be able to talk to the voters. So I'll be able to go there to carry out this mock accreditation. The essence is to see how much our PVAT will work and how much we can use our PVC on election day. And the new innovation that the commission intend to deploy in FCT area council. Permit me to say that the e-collation, let me just use the word, there's actually EEC8A that the commission intends to deploy. So I don't know, I'm just saying permit me to. If it works out in FCT, we will do that. So we want to pilot it to see how much of this we can achieve. And if that goes well, we'll be able to deploy that for the FCT area council election. The main technology innovation I want to talk about is the Inec result viewing portal. The Inec result viewing portal, which we are all familiar with. Wherever you are in Nigeria, in America, in Australia, in Ghana, in Togo, you can view the results as it is being uploaded from each of the units in FCT. So the Inec result viewing portal is actually a real-time based after the results have been uploaded by the PO. So you can view the results and actually gauge the pattern the results or the voting pattern is known. So the POs are expected to scan these results and upload them. And not just the results also, maybe the form EC40G, where results are cancelled. We also bear in mind, just to mention also that the accreditation figure is also exported in the course of the election. And that accreditation figure is what the collation officers use to collect or write the results that are being uploaded. Some key ideas or things I want us to know as I round up. Use of fingerprint or facial recognition for voters authentication with the use of the beavers. Prevention of multiple voting and impersonation, which I mentioned earlier on. For the IRF, online portal for real-time viewing of election results. Aim is to ensure that transparency by allowing public monitor the results that are being uploaded. The success so far by the beavers and the RF. So the beavers and the RF has enhanced transparency, credibility by the biometric authentication of voters during election. Beavers have also improved voters' accreditation accuracy. RF has made the election more transparent as it has made it possible for stakeholders and general public to have access to the results during time. Quickly, I want to also talk about something that may be happening, that will be happening, not maybe, on the election day. Sometimes you see there are issues with beavers and call them RATEC, and also some of them will call them the LG supervisor. So the RATEC are actually those that are in charge of a particular ward or a selected polling unit. There are some, I don't want to use the word now, ward, because there are some wards that are actually big, maybe that's 40, 70 polling units on night. There are in FCT. So in such a place, you have a RATEC having a selected or a specific polling unit or a ward. And this set of people, what are actually their function? Their functions involve one, pre-election, to conduct beavers readiness checking, deliver refresher training for poll officials, and provide login details. Now talk about beavers readiness check. Few days to election, probably on Wednesday, depending. Sometimes we do it on Wednesday, sometimes we do it on Thursday. You see the RATEC and the supervisors at the various local government going to check the beavers to ensure that the beavers are well configured, well charged, and will function perfectly well on the day of the election. Then on the election day, they serve as first time line of action of support to troubleshoot and escalate all unresolved issues in respect to the beavers. Then after the election, verify that beavers and electoral voters matches in the form EC8A for collation. Okay, for FCT, let me really run through what we have in mind. Sorry, I kind of did my PowerPoint presentation, but because I couldn't really wrap it up, so that's why we're not projecting it. I just decided to do paperwork. Sorry about that. Maybe later we can give to the arises. So the deployment of beavers for FCT area council election. As we are all aware, FCT has 2,822 polling units. Then in FCT, we have 4 polling units that have 0 voters. And those polling units, I will just read maybe 1 or 2 of them. I'll read the delimitation. 37 4. So these polling units have 0 voters. So the number of split polling units, when we say split polling units, any polling unit that has more than 1,250 for the commission will consider it as split polling units. So we have 195 of them. 195 of them. That means polling that the number of registered voters exceeds 1,250. So the total number of we also have backup beavers that we intend to take to the various area council. 248 of them, if you divide that by the number of wards and the area council we have. So in all, the total number of beavers will be deployed for FCT area council is 3,319. 3,319 beavers will be deployed for the FCT area council. In conclusion, the deployment of beavers and the IRF has advanced election transparency and credibility, successfully combating voters' fraud and impersonation. To maximize the potentials of beavers and IRF, there is a need for voters' education campaign and deployment of only trained poll officials. With continuous improvement, beavers and IRF will play a transformative role in strengthening elections, ensure greater transparency, fairness, public confidence in the democratic process. Thank you.
Another round of information of the FCT, the technology which the Commission will deploy for the election, as well as its operability, and also the technical support that will be deployed for the elections to protect this election against technological crisis. Thank you very much. One more round of applause. Within the next 20 minutes, we're going to be listening to the HOD Legal FCT. She's going to run us through the Electoral Act 2022 and the elections. Mrs. Rosemary Election. Thank you very much. Please put your hands as she wants to.
Good afternoon, the Administrative Secretary, FCT, and the Director. May I respectfully acknowledge all the issues here present. Like she said, the presentation will be on the Electoral Act 2022 and the election, with insights on the electoral process, particularly the role of technology in enhancing transparency and credibility, particularly with regard to the forthcoming FCT area council elections. Despite having the delivery of free, fair, and credible elections as its core values, the Independent National Electoral Commission, herein referred to as a commission, was faced with a series of challenges which hindered the effective delivery of this mandate before the enactment of the Electoral Act 2022. However, determined to improve on its core values and overcome these challenges in subsequent elections, the Electoral Act 2022 as amended has ushered in a new era for Nigeria's electoral process, with technology playing a pivotal role as the Commission aims to tackle long-standing challenges such as electoral fraud, result manipulation, and voter mistrust. It is therefore safe to conclude that technology is revolutionizing elections in Nigeria with special emphasis on transparency and credibility. Now, before we go into the legality or otherwise of these innovations, because as we also our earlier presenter did say a lot about the technological innovations with special reference to the beavers and the IREF portal. We are not going to go into the technicalities of that, like they say. I'm not a tech person, I'm a lawyer. So we'll deal more with the legality or otherwise of the innovations and their uses in the electoral process. And I'll first of all x-ray the electoral process by taking a look at its evolution leading up to the introduction of these innovations in 2022. So going into the evolution of the electoral process in Nigeria, under the Electoral Act 2006 and the Inec Act Cap 15 laws of the Federation of Nigeria, electoral process in Nigeria in the period between 1999 and 2007 was largely dominated by a number of electoral malpractices ranging from widespread rigging, ballot stuffing, voter intimidation, violence, and manipulation during collation. All of these, coupled with the massive irregularities encountered following the 2017 general elections, prompted the Justice Mohammed Lawal Uwais Electoral Reform Committee between 2007 to 2008, whose recommendations for greater autonomy and transparency of the Commission were largely unimplemented. The Electoral Act 2010, which repealed the former Electoral Act 2006, was enacted in August 2010, and the 2015 general elections introduced the smart card reader for biometric accreditation, a step forward that led to a reduction in some of the irregularities encountered during accreditation and voting, but was not quite sustainable as there were several reported issues of device failure and bypassing. The 2019 general elections saw some improvements in issues of logistics, but other irregularities like vote buying, ballot snatching, violence, and low public confidence in result management persisted, while post-election reviews still highlighted manual collation vulnerabilities, leaked result transmission, and above all, weak enforcement of the laws. All of these, coupled with the lack of transparency in the electoral process, built public pressure for comprehensive reform, leading to the enactment of the Electoral Act 2022, which consolidated prior amendments and introduced technology-backed safeguards. This takes us to an overview of the electoral process here in Nigeria. Now, the legal framework for the electoral process in Nigeria is the Electoral Act 2022 and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The Electoral Act in Nigeria involves several stages as outlined by the Electoral Act 2000. The electoral process, as outlined by the Electoral Act 2022, and include voter registration, where eligible citizens register with Inec to obtain a permanent voter's card, as provided under Section 12 and 16 of the Electoral Act, respectively. Now, I'm not going to go into details of what the Act says about these things, because, like the earlier presenter said, the Electoral Act is a public document which we should all endeavor to acquaint ourselves with. So I'll just read out the sections, and then you go to see the details of the provisions of those sections, please. And the second one is party primaries, which involves the selection of candidates through primaries by political parties. And this is provided for under Section 84, sub 1 of the Electoral Act. Then we go to nomination of candidates, whereby political parties submit candidates' names to the Commission. And we see this under Section 82, sub 2 to 84, sub 2 to 15 of the Electoral Act. Then we go to campaigns, which is a period that allows candidates to campaign across constituencies. And then for this, we go to section 94 and 95 of the Electoral Act. And I must emphasize this, we should know the limitation of time under section 94 sub 1, which is 150 days. That is with regards to campaign now. 150 days before polling day and ends 24 hours prior to election day. Please take note of this. Then we go to actual voting, where voters cast ballots on election day using the bimodal voter accreditation system, the BVAS, or accreditation. And then for this, would make reference to section 47 of the Electoral Act. And we go to result collation, which is the electronic transmission of results, the Inec result viewing portal, the IRF portal. And then for these, we have section 50 sub 2 and section 62 sub 1 and 2 of the Electoral Act. Finally, we have results declaration, which is the job of Inec, like he rightly mentioned, where Inec declares winners based on collated results. And for this, we have section 66 of the Electoral Act as the backing, legal backing. Now, the key players in the electoral process are the Inec, which conducts elections and enforces the electoral laws, the political parties, who fields candidates and mobilize voters, and then finally we have the voters who elect representatives. And this is not to say we do not have other stakeholders in the electoral process, but these are the three key players in the electoral process. Now we go to the Electoral Act 2022 and the key innovations in the electoral process. The earlier presenter, like Obi mentioned, the most, I think, celebrated innovations, which are the BVAS and the IRF. Now I'm going to go into not the technicalities now, but the legal backing, and then the advantages that make them contribute to the transparency and credibility of the electoral process. So signed into law on February 22, 2022, the Act repealed the Electoral Act 2010 and aims to modernize the framework by addressing long-standing gaps. As much as the Electoral Act 2022 introduced a number of innovations to enhance transparency and curb fraud, thereby promoting credibility in the country's electoral process, the most celebrated technological innovations seem to be the bimodal accreditation system, which is the BVAS, and the Inec result viewing portal, which is the IRF portal. An integration of these two represents Nigeria's bold step towards digital elections, aligning with global standards. It is in the light of this that we explore how tools like the bimodal voter accreditation system and the Inec result viewing portal have become game changers in the electoral process by boosting trust and shaping the future of our democracy. No wonder it was greatly anticipated that with the commencement of the Act, a positive change will be introduced in the country's electoral history. Now, section 41 sub 1 of the Electoral Act allows the Commission to deploy tech for voter registration, accreditation, and results management. This gives legal backing to the validity. This gives legal backing, and validity to the use of all technological devices in the electoral process. The bimodal voter accreditation system in BVAS is given legal validity by the provisions of section 47 sub 2 of the Electoral Act, which provides for the use of a smart card reader or any other technological device by the presiding officer that may be prescribed by the Commission for the accreditation of voters to verify, confirm, or authenticate the particulars of the intended voter in the manner prescribed by the Commission. The Inec result viewing portal, the IRF, this format of result viewing, which is covered by section 60 sub 1 to 5 of the Electoral Act, mandates the Commission to upload polling unit results to IRF portal for public access. Now, we'll go into how these innovations, particularly the by what the BVAS and the IREF have enhanced transparency and credibility in the electoral process. The BVAS is used during accreditation and voting to verify voters' identities and transmit polling unit results to IREF portal. It combines fingerprint and facial recognition for voter authentication to verify voters in real time against the electronic voter register stored on the device. It logs accreditation data electronically and prevents multiple voting or impersonation. The Inec result viewing portal, which is an IREF, on the other hand, is a public online platform where scanned polling unit result sheets are uploaded directly from the BVAS at the polling unit level. It creates real-time public access to the original results, allowing citizens, media observers, and parties to cross-verify physical results against digital records. It uses encryption for secure uploads, providing an audit trail to detect alterations during manual collation. These tools have been demonstrated to foster credibility by providing audit trails and empowering stakeholders, including the media, to verify outcomes independently. Together, they aim to minimize manipulation by shifting from opaque manual processes to verifiable digital ones, with BVAS handling accreditation and result capture, and the IREF enabling transparent viewing. Furthermore, they enhance credibility by reducing human interference in accreditation and results collation, ensure that results reflect votes cast at polling units, and provide verifiable data that can be independently checked. Therefore, technological innovations under the Electoral Act 2022 can be said to promote transparency and credibility in the following ways. Real-time access to information. The direct upload of results from the polling unit allows for media monitoring of election outcomes in real time. Reduction of electoral fraud. Biometric accreditation prevents multiple voting and impersonations, like the earlier presenter said. Then enhanced accountability of electoral officials, as votes achieved by technological devices make it easier to take actions taken by electoral officials, to track actions rather taken by electoral officials. This promotes discipline and accountability, as misconduct can be detected, investigated, and reported. Technology generates data that the media can rely on to analyze the vote scores, accreditation numbers, and uploaded results, enabling deeper investigative reporting and accurate fact-based election coverage. Increased public trust and credibility due to online independent verification. Protection against post-election manipulation, as electronic transmission of results leaves little or no room for alterations at collation centers. Broader civic engagement, as technology-driven transparency encourages citizens to follow the electoral process more closely. Now, we go into the challenges of some of these technological innovations. Despite the robust advantages, the introduction of these technological devices presents, despite the robust advantages the introduction of these technological devices presents, they are not without challenges. These devices, just like every other device, will have some technical glitches from time to time, and there may be delays in the replacement of the devices when such glitches occur. Once again, the Act has this covered under Section 47 sub 3 of the Electoral Act, which provides, when a smart card reader or any technological device deployed for accreditation of voters fails to function in any unit, and a fresh card reader or technological device is not deployed, the election in that unit shall be cancelled, and another election shall be scheduled within 24 hours. If the Commission is satisfied that the result of the election in that polling unit will substantially affect, and this is what I want you all to know, will substantially affect the final result of the whole election and declaration of a winner in that constituency concerned. So the effect of this is, once the commission is able to verify that the result of that election in that polling unit will not substantially affect the final result of the whole election and declaration, then there will be no need to postpone that election, to go ahead. So that is the effect of this section 47 sub 3 of the Electoral Act. Now, going to the role of the media in the electoral journey. Beyond reporting election outcomes, the media plays an active role before, during, and after elections by shaping public understanding, promoting transparency, and holding electoral actors accountable. Some of the roles of the media in the electoral system include, but not limited to, information and voter education. Through news reports, debates, and public interest programming, citizens are informed about electoral laws and voting procedures. Watchdog and accountability role by monitoring the activities of electoral bodies, political parties, candidates, and security agencies by exposing irregular and electoral misconduct. Enhancing transparency through technology. Access to real-time data allows the media to independently verify electoral processes. Conflict prevention and peace building, and this cannot be overemphasized. As responsible media coverage contributes to peaceful election, this is done by carefully verifying information before broadcasting or publication, as the case may be. In conclusion, the Electoral Act 2022 advanced Nigeria's electoral framework by embedding technology and safeguards, marking progress from manual, fraud-prone systems. And despite its implementation hurdles, it has laid a strong foundation for technology-driven elections in Nigeria. Media professionals are indispensable in translating these reforms into public understanding, as they are not just observers, but critical stakeholders in democratic governance. Best practices may include using data visualization for storytelling, interviewing diverse stakeholders such as the Commission's officials, tech experts, voters, and others, any others as the case may be, and fact-checking in real time during live broadcasts. With ongoing refinement, the electoral process under the Electoral Act holds promise for greater transparency, reduced malpractices, and renewed public confidence in the year ahead. Thank you.
This is to be taken by the HOD Electoral Operations, Mrs. Yeset, his son.
Don't mind my sister, they're always being sick with my dear. Don't mind my sister, they're always being sick with my dear friend from Akwa Ibom. My twin sister, you don't guess it, so. My name is Akin Thomas Olashade. I'm privileged to be HOD Operations and NFCT. My assignment is so simple that I should I'm presenting on the voting processes and procedures. The primary focus on the electoral management body is to organize and operate the platform that will provide an opportunity for all eligible persons to participate through voting in the choice of their respectives or leaders in the various institutions of governance in a democratic process. Voting process. The integrity, services level, and accessibility of election process may primarily depend on the range of voting methods available to voters and procedural controls. To ensure all persons registered to vote have equal opportunity to vote in an election, irrespective of their gender or class, literacy level, occupation, or physical condition, should be the guiding points for appropriate development of voting processes and procedures. This has been an agenda of the Commission, that is Inec, over the years by ensuring every eligible voter is registered and given the opportunity to vote, irrespective of their status. The Commission should be commended for these great achievements. This is made possible by the determined leadership of the Commission with clear vision and goal which is being achieved on a continuous daily basis. The Commission has through various innovations and measures on voting processes, being able to prevent voter fraud, although my colleagues have mentioned a lot about that, intimidation, unwilling influence, attempted multiple voting, impersonation, and ballot box stuffing. The robust legal, regulatory, and policy decisions of the Commission have helped to shape our electoral system for the better. The voting process involves all the activities that are carried out at the polling units, which end up with the declaration of score at the polling unit and packing up at the end of the election. This is a complex process which, when not properly handled, may melt the election. Voting procedures, then the open of poll. Accreditation and voting are very key during these voting processes in an electoral system and law. Anyone who is 18 years and above must have their permanent voter's card. Like in FCT, since our election is less than 3 weeks, the PVC is on day. We have the PVC at all our 6 area councils, so you can go there and pick up your cards. You remember, you cannot vote without having the PVC. That is when he or she might have registered during continuous voter registration to be able to vote, and he or she must be a citizen of Nigeria. Election is a civic responsibility exercised by citizens who are of voting age, and many require criteria for voting an election. On election day, accreditation and voting begins simultaneously at 8:30 and close at 2:30 at the polling units. All voters already on the queue at 2:30 p.m. shall be accredited and allowed to vote. Biomoda accreditation system that we call BAVAS, as the ICT actually said, will be deployed and used for this purpose. You can only vote at the polling unit where you register. At the polling unit, the voter is expected to check and confirm that his or her name is at the right polling unit, and the voter register pasted on the polling unit on the wall. Secondly, he or she joined the queue for accreditation, and accredited is done using fingerprints and facial recognition through the use of beavers. The name of the person will be ticked on the register by the poll officials in the appropriate boxes, and then issue a ballot paper by the presiding officer, which he or she can proceed to thumbprint and cast his or her own ballot on the cubicle and drop it at the ballot box before leaving the polling point. When casting your vote, ensure you place your thumbprint on the appropriate box of the party candidate or you are voting, the party candidates you are voting for. It is also highly important to fold your ballot paper vertically inward before placing it in the ballot box. Assuming this is a ballot box, a ballot paper, and you have casted your vote, the best way to fold your ballot paper is vertically like this. So that if it's going to stay, it will stay on the party name, not like this. Priority is given to the physically challenged persons, using nursing mothers and age who cannot stand too long. In this our present Abuja here, we don't like mingle with each other. So there, apart from a line for a male or female, there should be another line for physical challenge. We call them inclusive friends. There should be a line for them with nursing mothers, pregnant women, or age among us. We are always training our poor officials to create a separate line for male, female, and for physically challenged persons. This Friday, 6 February, we are going to start our training with the SPOs. By today, before the end of today, messages shall be sent to all the people that are going to be part of the training. Then come next week, 13th, 14th, and 15th, the training for the poll officials will commence in the 6th area council. The presiding officer is the one in charge of the polling and to be assisted by the APOs, where they all perform different functions at the polling units. Then the close of poll. At the close of voting, there will be sorting, counting. The training is very important. We are going to deploy only adult staff that apply on Inec press, and only adult staff that are going to be trained. So there's a way we do the sorting, there's a way we do the counting, there's a way we do the recording, and then announcement of results. We are not supposed to announce that party 0 has won in this polling unit. That is the reason why training is very important. Rather, we are going to paste the form. There's a form we call EC60E. It is that form that you will be able to know who has won at this polling unit. At the polling unit before heading to the World Collation Center for further collation by the World Collation Officer. And the winner returned by the returning officer in the case of councillors. You know, we have councillors in each of the area councils. Like Hamad, we have 12 councillors because we have 12 wards. So it is at the ward that the councillor's results shall be announced. But for the area, for the chairmanship, the winners shall only be announced at the area council, at the level of the councillorship position. This is what we are expecting to do for this area council election that is coming on the 21st of February 2026. Thank you very much.
Operations City, please put your hands together once again for the next item on the agenda is interactive session update on online media application. But Mr. Nathaniel Ghana will be taking the update on online accreditation before the do everything. Okay, so Nathaniel, you hold on the Deputy Director will come after. So please, we welcome on sitting for the interactive session, Mr. Wilfred Fogart, Deputy Director of the City. Please put your hands together.
The Administrative Secretary, Inec City, the Director, media executives, on-air personalities and reporters, deputy directors and heads of department, Inec FCT. Good afternoon, everyone. My role here today is quite simple. I know right from the beginning of today's program, right from the welcome address by the Resident Electoral Commissioner, and thereafter the opening remark by the National Commissioner and Chair, Information and Voter Education Committee, and thereafter the goodwill messages from the NUJ Chairperson, the NIPRO President, and of course, objectives and expectations of our Director of this gathering here today. And thereafter, the presentation by the Chief Press Secretary to the Honorable Chairman, and thereafter, the heads of department for ICT, legal department, and of course, electoral operations of Inec FCT. I know there are a lot of questions and the contributions that participants here today would like to probably get clarification or interrogate. So once again, welcome. And there is a clarification I'd like to make here. During the presentation of the HLE ICT, he did make mention of something, and that has to do with a pilot program which is centered on an ECSA collection. Please, I don't want us to fly with that, especially for reporters. Please, he mentioned it. If you have taken that, please don't fly with it. Okay? I think in due time, the commission itself will have its own positive engagement to bring that forward. For now, you shouldn't fly with that. I think just center on the IRF and the papers. So it is with that the floor is open for your questions or reactions. And please, if you raise your question and probably you're called upon, if you have indicated you want to make a contribution and it has been dealt with, there's no point raising it again. And I noticed something, it is not the way we started that we are now. Over 40% of participants have gone. This is how misinformation starts. Exactly. So we are gathered here to be properly updated, and before the program could really start, before we could really get the message why we invited it, over 40% have actually left the venue. We are here, Sha, we'll tackle them. It's all right. So once again, and that's what I'd like to say. I would like to invite, there are questions, you just indicate, then you'll be acknowledged. All right, sir. Okay. Do we have another mic?
I hope you can hear me.
It's not functioning.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's been a quite enlightening session. My name is Sonny Daniel. I'm the editor of Vanguard Northern Operations in Abuja. So I thank Inec for organizing this session for all of us. It's quite enlightening. I wish that this should be very regular. One of the things I need to ask, just a simple question, and directed to the Director of Operations, or Director of Legal. We talk about Beavers, which has completely changed the electoral process. But there's a system of Beavers, which is hybrid, which is supposed to enable us to monitor the results of the election. And then we should clap for Inec if the election is very credible, successful, and the result brings everybody to a place where they can celebrate. But what happens if mistakes are made and the result that is loaded in IRF has been manipulated before it is uploaded? At what point can that be corrected? That's my only question. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Next, sir. Take the question. They all know the questions directed to them. So, no, let him. Okay.
My name is Sunday. Just to add up to, because he has taken what I wanted
to say.
Yes, so like in the legal aspect, we talk about the when time of announcing results, the public the results in the collection center. So what happens in the collection center, and then maybe some polling are not through with their result, and in the collection center the result are there. Then so what happened to that reporter or a journalist that already announced that Inec has announced a result of that polling unit that this is what they got?
I hope you are not confusing the entire thing now.
Well, I'm not, like for instance, what he said.
Maybe let me just what the mic is not.
You talk loud, so you just bring it down.
Okay, what I'm saying in the collection center.
For instance,
This is the collection center.
and
The results are being collected. Then maybe in some part of the polling units or in the area councils whereby some
have not read.
So what happened to the presiding officer there when they announced?
What happened to the presiding officer who is there in the area council level?
All right.
You understand?
Yes.
And then here we have the collection center. So which the result is being uploaded and said it has been announced. And then the reporter is being taken away by that okay, this is what has been given in that area council. Yes.
Okay, so I think if I get you clearly,
Yes.
legal officer, you're listening to me. I think it's directly question to legal officer.
Yes.
All right. Okay, then we have the administrative secretary here. Just in case of ICT, I know she'll be able to speak on that. But the HOD is not here. Okay. Because I think from what you are saying, if you are listening to the HOD legal, and she did make mention of certain things, so if you have picked it, I'm not sure this person will have come up. Okay, but then we'll leave it to her to answer you. So should we take these two first or we'll have later? Okay, let's start. Okay, okay. No female at all. Only men. All right.
My name is Dr. Kiva. I report for Astro Radio and television. I guess here, when I see here that the way we are, I was talking about viewers encouragement to bring out credible results when the election comes on the way by exchanging verses. I remember similar kind of situation was conducted in Washington State, where the immediate past national chairman and president and the president of our batch, by the staff, who categorically made people to know that a magic one has been introduced in our electoral process, and that's the use of levers that will check excesses, either manipulation or whatever. But in order to be a different thing altogether, by the time we got to the National Conference Center for the collation of these results, we now overheard the national chairman then, the immediate past chairman of Inec, asking the returning officers of various states whether they were about voting. And I was like, taken aback about voting with the use of technology. So to what extent I can say what I'm saying today might not be this going forward, because there is this further apathy. And we don't really know as presenters to still convince people when we talk about givers, so that they will have interest to get out and vote.
All right, thank you, sir. I think let's hold on. Which of the legal? Okay, I think the first two questions we directed at you, so you answer them. I think for the third one, we will interact on that one now.
Okay, I did mention earlier that we evolved from somewhere, and that was why I gave the evolution of the electoral process from way back before the introduction of the technological innovations. And those were meant to take care of the glitches that we may encounter during elections, right? So what of course, while no system is completely hack-proof, the implementation of INEC's innovations aims at minimizing manipulation of election results to the barest minimum, and that is why I say to the barest minimum, in the sense that there is no way that the results being uploaded in real time can be manipulated, and that is why it is called, we refer to the innovations as being very transparent and credible, in the sense that they are being uploaded in real time. So there is no way that people, the public is seeing these things being uploaded, and then someone will now go behind and still maybe do some kind of manipulation behind the scenes. So if they are being uploaded in real time, like I said, and like you all heard, the results in the very presence of the public. So as much as possible, these technological innovations see to it that these things are rolled out. Manipulations are completely rolled out. I hope that answers your question, please.
All right, and I think in addition, listen, for the collection, for the FCT area council elections, they have 62 wards and they have 6 area councils. So another beautiful. So in those 12 wards, so let's take one of the ward has its own unit. Like from what you're trying to say, maybe at that ward level, collection is taking place. We are saying all the units have not been collated, but the declaration has been made. Certain things can lead to that. I'm not sure it's possible for a collation officer. Maybe you have 12 polling units. You have not collated or you are declaring the result. Is it possible? No, it's not possible. Maybe you are using what you have experienced in other elections, want to bring to FCT. That will not be possible. Okay? No, it's not possible. I doubt it. It is not. That was in the past. Not when Inec existed. Probably when, what is it called? Electoral existed. But not independent national electoral commission. We have passed that stage. In short, since the era of the smart card reader, the device, yes, those things we are done with. All right. Then I think for the other one I talked about, I'm not comfortable using that word glitch. Okay, that term glitch. It's a challenge, and because the narrative it carries, most times you just use it just like that. I remember explanation has been given for what happened. For the 2023 general election that you are using to bring to the FCT level now, at times it's not a good comparison. There were 2 types of election ahead that day. You had for the National Assembly and you had the presidential election. But people, both in diaspora and in Nigeria, were more concerned about the uploading for the presidential results. And somehow, the commission never envisaged that the traffic would be that high. Instead of people trying to say, okay, what happened to the Senate? What happened to the House of Reps? Everybody wanted to see what was coming for the presidential election. And how would I put it now? The traffic was so high that the thing has to go down. It happens. It does happen. So they couldn't manage it at that point in time. And the commission has actually learned its lessons from that. FCT will not be like that. Because like people have to come out to vote. So I want how many people who want to go to IREF to check. Another thing I want to correct you that IREF is not a sister to BVAS. The IREF is someone in charge of the BVAS because they use the BVAS to upload to the IREF portal. Is that okay? So let's get it clear and correct so that the information put out there will be the right one. Thank you, sir. So any other questions? I believe we've been able to track the first ones. Yes. All right. Okay, the first one for today.
Thank you for the opportunity. My question actually, I think we should go to the operations because I've been wondering if I want to change my location, how many times can I do that? I've been transferring from here to here so if I want to change, how many times?
Okay, I think that should be the ICT now. Okay, let me call our administrative secretary. Yes. Okay, before you answer that now, I think there's another question. Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Okemo, somebody from the authority of Inec. Of all these safeguards we have mentioned, which one prevent underage voters, underage voting? That's one. Which of these also will take care of mob actions? Because these two things are very, they occur in every election. Where you see 12-year-old, 10-year-old, carrying voters card and voting. And then in some cases, you find where people come in large number and then you are ending for official use of some sort of, they say, well, let them do it where they like. We see this. Thank you.
Just one question. Please wait, please. Since the mic is there.
Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shane Ibuoni, editor for Daily Korean newspaper. My question is one that I think I've asked severally, but since I'm in the room with major FCT actors, it's important to ask it again. During the 2016-2017 registration cycle, I did register my wife and one of my brother at Wari, somewhere I live in Kubwa. When it was time for collection, I was at the headquarters in Wari. My younger brother got his, myself and my wife. We have our temporary slip, but they searched everywhere, and we have our names on the computer, but our permanent voter's card was not available. I was given a sheet of paper to fill. Years down the line, I went back. I was given a logbook. My permanent ID was not produced. I think some people will be familiar with this question I'm asking. I was told something will be done. Years later, I was at Wari. The headquarters tried to intervene. As I speak to you, I still have that slip. My name is on Inec register. If I go and do it again, I will fall short of the law, because that will be obviously a double registration. But Inec, through its system, have not been able to produce a card for me. And that day I raised it, that I had to do more of a spotlight as a journalist. And one of the things I discovered was that there were tens of people in a few of the local governments I visited who had a similar issue. And I suggested that the same way we have a tab, if you want to transfer from one place to another, there is a tab. If you have lost your ID card, you want to replace it. Why not have a tab for someone who has a temporary, but that the commission could not produce a permanent card, so that we can solve this issue once and for all? That is actually what I'm trying to do.
All right, thank you very much. It is quite a familiar complaint. I think we're taking through now. I will now invite Madam Bimbo to handle, because those are quite technical, both on the ICT and voter registry. And she's quite experienced in that. I remember when I was in the States, I do call her to solve certain issues like this. So, Madam, this is your turn.
Good afternoon, everyone. So let me start with the last question about PVC. I want to ask Mr. Sheil, when last did you visit the Inec office to find out the status of your PVC? Were you there during this recent PVC distribution that we did? Or were you there when we did the CVR? You know, between August and October, we had our CVR. I don't know, were you in the office?
Yes, I was in the office.
Okay. Okay, so what, I'm asking this because I want to know what actually transpired. So when we went to the office, What did they say?
The permanent card was still not available.
Okay.
The date is always in the system.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking is we have two ways of doing this, two ways of getting. In fact, we have. Sorry. We have a self-service portal. I'm sure you're aware. Did you go there? You submitted a request for a reprint because you were saying now that we don't have an option to request. But on that portal, there's an option to request for a reprint of your cards. And for this,
I'm not reprinting. I've never gotten it.
yes, you don't have one. So you should request for a print of your card. Okay, you should request for a print of your card. Yeah, I know you are a journalist, so you're looking at English. I'm not a journalist. So don't tie me on my legs with me to that word. So you should request. In fact, when you visited the office, what they should have done was to make a request for a PVC for you on the system. That is very, very simple. You don't leave it yourself on the portal or the people in the office. That was why I was asking that what happened in the office. But PVC issuance, the commission would give a date, and I know we're going to stop issuance of PVC, most likely very early next week. But what we will do is, please, after this program, just see me, give me your details, let me find out what the problem is. And if there's no problem with your registration, I can assure you that you'll pick up your card before we finish this, before we land up this PVC collection exercise. Now, I want to. Okay, so somebody, the lady here, you didn't mention your name. You talked about how many times can somebody request for transfer. We don't have a ceiling. Okay. But we don't also encourage people to keep moving from one place to another. But anytime you need to move your registration to a place that will enable you easily vote, Inec would attend to that. So I don't know, did you submit a request for transfer, or you just want to know? Okay, so you can request for transfers as many times as you want. Okay. You want to. Yeah. Now let me look at the other questions, both previous and the ones that we asked now. I want us to look at the election, ecosystem. Everything works together to ensure that we have a peaceful, free and fair election and a credible process. And when you look at technology, you find it's like a triangle. There's technology, there's the process, and then there is the people part of this ecosystem when it comes to technology and election. So, and when we have election, the commission has put in place a lot of checks and balances, even on us, the umpire of an election. The reason why I'm saying this is, at every polling unit, every political party is supposed to have their party agent, have his or her party agent at every polling unit. This is basically to checkmate whatever is going on at the PU. So as journalists, let's also encourage the political parties to ensure that they have their party agents at all the PUs. Somebody mentioned something here earlier about declaring the election results when some people, like what somebody said, it's not possible. So let's even assume that it's possible. If every party has their party agents there, there's no way such a thing would have happened. Though it's not possible. And then people have raised a few other issues here. Let's also encourage the political parties to have their party agents. That's why the people part of this whole thing matters. Because if we're using technology, we have the people and we have the process. These things must work together to enable us to have a free and fair election. Underage voting. So this also applies to underage voting. If you think that somebody is an underage in the polling unit, there's nothing wrong with you raising an objection. They are calling the attention of the poll officials, of the party agents, if you observe this. There is, like I said, there's a people part of this whole process. Technology cannot solve all the problems. Technology will not solve all the problems, except the process, technology, and the people work together. I think that's all that I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think she just summed everything. And just to, there was a critical process that happened in December, and that was the process of the display of the preliminary register of voters. Most of us here, especially with journalists, most of us don't really know what the process is in the commission. And that was a very good period for those of you talking about underage voting who have been registered somehow by the registration officers. Where the register will be displayed, it is now for you to look at those registered already captured that we want to integrate, for you to raise objections, so that those names or individuals will not come out in the final register. Like Madam said, everyone has to, both technology and human effort has to play a part in order to ensure that we have a credible register. So, okay, more questions? All right. Any other? I think there's one at the back. Mr. Theophilus, okay, the gentleman in front.
Good afternoon. My name is Peniel Tia, and I'm from Law FM Abuja here. 3 questions I have. I want to first appreciate the Commission for this forum. I was actually thinking we'll have our security agencies here too, because some of the questions we'll be throwing will concern them. You can't answer for them, especially the issue of security is one major factor we have found out why people really don't have that confidence to go out to vote. What's the guarantee that their life is safe? I'll give an example. Wari Area Council is one beehive of insecurity when it comes to election. We saw what happened in the 2023 general elections, where election was postponed, something thereabout, and that also affected it. Then you said something now that I might not come out to vote, and I held on to it. And my question is, what is INEC doing to break these chains of, apathy when it comes to election? That's one. And then my final question is, during the 2023 elections, people were asked to go to vote. I, for example, where my polling unit, on that day, they now sent a message that they've created a sub-polling unit again where you go to vote, not your original place where you're meant to vote. And for people who don't have Android phone to check out this, what is INEC doing to mitigate that? Because it took me almost 1 hour for me to find my polling units that they sent finally. This is for me that is enlightened though. Now talk about people who are not as enlightened as I am. What is INEC doing to actually bridge that gap so people don't find it difficult looking out for their polling units?
All right, Director Ma, you take note of those questions. I would like you to come in that aspect. All right, next question, please.
Okay, good afternoon, my question is based on the SPOs, the POs, PO1, PO2. I'm completely correct. I've been an top staff at one time, and it was quite an experience because some of the people, the adult staff, they did not. I know there are usually trainings for adult staff, but I observed that most of them had no idea why they were there. And I cannot blame INEC for that because they have sent people to train these people. But the training period, from my observations, are usually very short for an adult staff who have no idea about elections, and then they just see an opportunity to be an adult staff or an opportunity to become an INEC staff eventually, because these are some of their mindsets. And they just go there and try to use the word they mess up. The collection, the calculation, don't have any idea. And then the people who are supposed to be aware or to cross-check or observe. They don't even know what to do. And then at the end of the day, we have the results are good. So how do we solve that problem?
That's question okay, number 2, the operations.
I'm Honorary John, representing Rep on 1.5. The consequency. What are the consequences of misinformation on democracy's institution and process?
What are what? Misinformation. Which agency are you from? Your name and where you're from. Your name.
I'm John.
From where? Ray Power. So what are the consequences of misinformation?
On democracy institution.
All right. Okay, I think we'd like taking it 3-3. So we'll now give opportunity to our Director for Voter Education and Publicity. I think there was one question on security. The other one was on the AMAC, the General Voter Apathy in AMAC, and what Inec is trying to do about it. That's the one I said. Sorry. They mentioned security, so.
I didn't get what he said about security.
Okay, security for journalists. So we didn't mention anything. I think, sorry, man. He earlier said he would have, probably he thought maybe security would have invited for this gathering or something like that. So before he now went on with the other question, man.
Okay, this forum is actually meant for media. So ideally we didn't expect to have security representation here. And just as you know, this week we're going to have consultative meetings. So the Honorable Chairman will interact and interface with all the clusters, the security agencies, and that's where they would also discuss the issues that they have with regards to security in FCT. I recall we have the Interconsultative Committee on Election Security. So they're doing their back-end activities and planning and mapping. So there's work going on behind. It's not everything that is discussed in the public. But when the commission meets with the security structure on Friday, they will tackle the issues as concerns the FCT. I hope that gives you some sense of, I don't know what word I'm looking for. Someone helped me. That gives you some form of comfort that Inec working with the Interconsultative Committee members, and recall the National Security Advisor is a co-chair. So we have the top leadership from the security and architecture, including the Inspector General of Police. So whatever issues there are, they will discuss at their level, and hopefully we'll have a secure environment for the elections. So with regards to the low participation, low turnout in AMAC, yes, we are also aware of that. And in our own little way, we are trying to intervene. And so we realize, for instance, that we have a lot of estates within the FCT. And so we targeted the estates to try to reach out to them, to let them know that there is even an election. And beyond that, we again realize that many of them don't even know the candidates that are contesting, and which is a major issue. Because if you don't know the people that are contesting, so why would you vote? It already puts a minus. Before you would want to vote for somebody, you should believe that the person has something to offer. So if you don't know who the contestants are, then you may as well just sit in your house. So like I said, we have tried to target estates. In the past 2 weeks, we've been doing interventions. We identified 50 districts within AMAC and clustered them. And we met with the estate excos, and we got permission
go into the estates, talk to the residents, and put up our posters. If you look around, you see the posters inviting and letting people know that we have election in the FCT. I know that one major problem is the fact that many of the people probably would have voted, who would have registered in AMAC, registered during working hours. So they come into town, register, and then they go back to people who live in Maraba, who live in, that is already Nasarawa State. So you may see them on our register as registered under these areas, but they're actually residents in another location. So it's a there are many facets that contribute or lead to that outcome of low participation. But those who actually live within AMAC, we have tried, and also some other stakeholders and the NGOs are doing their own bits. But for us, we have tried to reach out to residents of AMAC in the past 2 weeks to let them know that there is election, to encourage them to turn out to vote. And then some other people have also gotten beyond that to let them know who the candidates are for the chairmanship and for the councillorship elections. So we hope as the elections would come, or the election would come, would see the impact of the intervention that we put up. I hope that answers your question. Was it? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh, you're not convinced. What's the third one?
During the last election, people went out to vote, but Inec sent messages giving them a sub.
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah. We said that one.
People is out of voting because they did not locate.
Okay, I think that one is okay.
People is out and
yes, Penny, I'm sorry. Sorry, you spent 1 hour trying to locate your polling unit. So let me explain what happened there. You know, that was when we created new polling units and INEC decided to decongest the PVs. And then what we did was to try to see how we could get across to voters, which we did by the message you got. But the problem was identification of the PU. So now we have some time before the election. And thank God people here are well enlightened. So I'll give you some portals that we have where you can get information about the polling units with ease. With ease. One, if you go to inecnigeria.org/pu, inecnigeria.org/pu or /location, either of them, you will get the location of every polling unit in the country. So, but for you in FCT, all you need to do is just to select the state, the local government area, the ward, and the polling unit. And then it will show you get direction. Clicking on get direction, it takes you to Google Map, and then it takes just normal Google Map. If you want to trek or you want to drive, you find the link there. It's very easy. If you pick up your PVC, you'll find your PU code on your PVC. So just locate that PU there, and then it takes you there. So for those that are elected, you have that. There's one very, very beautiful tool that INEC has now. It's called FLOC. FLOC is beautiful. Even me as an INEC staff, I really appreciate it. FLOC, EFLOC.inecnigeria.org. It gives you location to every polling unit, location to our collation centers, location to our ward centers. Every information a voter needs to know about INEC, you will find it on FLOC. Now you'll be saying that is to address people like us who are enlightened. How about those in the villages? So what we are planning for this FCT area election is that 5 days to the election, we are going to paste the list of voters in all the polling units so that everybody can go. So if you can check electronically for the location of your PU. At least you can walk around to go and check where INEC has pasted the list. So we're going to paste the list. Normally we paste the list on election day. But for this purpose, we are pasting the list 5 days before the election. So people can go around and check and identify that PU. So we have tried to solve it electronically, e-wise, and also to solve that problem physically. So those are the two major ways in which we know we should be able to solve this problem. Thank you.
Hello, thank you very much for that your question. I want us to know that we can't do election in FCT without the corpers. You know, I don't know of other states, but I know the FCT, we always make use of corpers. And I want you to know that there's a particular pet project that we started in December 4th, which got finished last week, Friday. And what is the project all about? We call it root training, ROOT training. This is the process of, we know there's a collaboration between INEC and NYC. So we went to NYC, we had a discussion with the state commandants that during their CDSs places in the 6 area council, they should allow us to go there to enlighten. They know these are our children, they cannot do without their phones. So we give them the manual and we have the soft copy. So during the six CDS of the corpers in the 6 area council, let me use AMAC as a case study. Because AMAC is large. And we were told that we have 35,000 corpers in FCT. So AMAC CDS is every day. So our staff, they were always on ground at their various CDS days to teach them on the election process and procedures. And we are happy that a lot of them understood because we have the hard copy, we have the soft copy. This process is making it very simple for us before the re-election training. So I want to assure you that they will not mess up if they have been messing up, but they are going to do the needful. Thank you very much.
I think that settles it for now. It's all right. All right, the consequences of misinformation. You know why I smiled? Because I don't know if he came late for this program. If he was not late for the question coming from somebody that's supposedly to be here, you know what the consequence of misinformation will be like. So that's why you are here, so that you not put up the wrong information. Yeah, because while producing your program or trying to add something, you might want to bring up certain information, and because you are not well informed, you now misinform your audience or your listeners. So that's why you are here today. So the consequence is that if you are not here today, you take the wrong information out. I know what that means. I think that answers our question. So that brings us to the next item. During the opening remark of the Honorable National Commissioner and Chairman of IFEC, Mala Mohammed Kudu Haruna, he did make mention of particular activities that INEC has actually carried out and is still on, and that somehow silently is not mentioned. And that has to do with accreditation for observers and also of the media. So for the media, accreditation is still on for the FCT election, and of course, the portal will close on the 8th. So it is in that light, I would like to invite Mr. Nathaniel Ghana to come and take. Okay, yeah. Okay. Lady Patience is here. She's going to take the media group that are here present through the rules that is involved in media accreditation online. Lady Patience, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Permit me to stand on the already existing protocol. So in 2020, when we were faced with COVID, the Commission Commission introduced an online accreditation portal for accreditation of journalists, just to curb the one-on-one contact between INEC or people handling the portal and journalists. So since then, we have been carrying out this accreditation exercise. The portal for the FCT election went live, like my boss said, on the 15th of December 2025, and it will be shutting down automatically midnight Sunday, February 8th, 2026. The portal is also open not just for the FCT area council election, it is also open for the by-elections in Rivers and Kano states. As at 9 p.m. Monday, 2nd February 2026, a total of 38 organizations and about 431 of them personnel have applied for the FCT election. We have 6 organizations for the Rivers State by-election and 1 for Kano. We still expect more, and I'm sure they'll come in. So the portal is a seamless one. We've all been interfacing with the portal. The portal is ima.inecnigeria.org. It is a process. Once you just click on the portal, it's something that you just go through. We are all familiar with it. So if you encounter any challenge using the portal, myself and Ghana are available. You can reach out to us. Our numbers are on the portal where you have the guidelines for the election. So those intending to cover the election, we encourage you to do so. We have eliminated or we have stopped manual accreditations. Every journalist that is accredited will be given a tag, and that tag has a QR code where you can scan. It is also available for security personnel. Why that QR code was introduced also is to eliminate journalists that are not eligible to cover the election. So that QR code has your name, the name of the organization, the personnel, if you have a disability, if you are a reporter, your email address, all of that information is on the QR code and on the tab. So please, if you encounter any challenge and you need us to assist you while it is running, you can reach out to myself and Ghana and we'll be of immense assistance. Thank you.
So I think that brings us to the next item, and that has to do with the vote of thanks. So I would like to invite our head of the Department for Voter Education and Publicity, FCT, Mr. Samuel Bassey. A round of applause for him, please.
The resident electoral commissioner, Inec, represented by the Ministry of Secretary, the Director of Voter Education Publicity and Inec Headquarters, distinguished participants. My task is quite simple, to say thank you to you all for coming and for your invaluable contributions. However, beyond that, I also like to say that as Rieko, what various speakers have said, that your task as a journalist is well cut out. That has to be desensitization, education, and setting up the agenda for balanced, accurate reportage to counter fake misinformation, disinformation, and the latest word on lead, malinformation, for a seamless, successful area council elections. Seamless, successful area council elections measured by how well informed the electorate in FCT will be for effective participation. Seamless, successful elections measured by the inclusivity index of the elections, especially the participation of the disadvantaged, having right access to information about their personal safety and security. And success in the election measured by the mindset of the youth usually used as kind of further to commit troubles by the unscrupulous elections. And finally, the credibility in these elections through reportage, accurate reportage. Well, the task is well cut out there, and it's quite enormous and demanding. It means its core actions. The Commission, using its information platform and assets, alongside the media to get into it. Having said this, I want once again to welcome all of you to this and for your invaluable contributions. Thank you and God bless everybody.
So I've been hired to continue the side of it. So I believe for every participant that is invited, you have actually